People who are uncomfortable with people with HIV know how to duck. I personally don't find it in my daily life. Where I do notice its impact is when I go to the baths around recreational sex. You know, in a bath situation, you don't come with a resume. I mean, it's not that kind of thing. People don't usually talk a lot before sex in a bath. Well, I had a situation, we cruised each other in the hall, he came back to my room, we started playing around. I have to ask you something. Okay, yeah. Are you positive? And I said, yeah. He looked a little taken aback, as if no one had ever said that to him before, and then said, well, I don't think I can continue. Well, okay, you know, everybody's got the right to set their own level of risk if you want, but if you really think the way to keep yourself safe in the baths is asking people whether they're positive or not, that's not a really very good strategy. You know, what if I'd said no? What if I didn't know? You know, you got to figure out what you're comfortable with and assume that everybody's positive. Okay, thanks for the tip. And he left. I don't know what's going on in people's heads. It's very, very strange to me. My personal practice is that I disclose if somebody suggests doing something which isn't safe for them. We were having sex with this guy, and I actually came, and he reached down to kind of suck the cum off my cock. And I said, hold just a second here. I'm HIV positive. You might not want to do that. You know, you get a virus that way. Oh, okay. And then he didn't do it. And afterward he said, you know, you're the first person in the baths ever to tell me that you were positive. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, it's, you know, it's a burden you have to bear, right? I mean, I worked for years in education, so I kind of enjoy educational moments. You know, I do my little bit, right? It is interesting, though, when I think of, you know, all the people that I've had sex with in the baths over the years, I've only ever had one person, before we had sex, say, I need to tell you something, I'm positive. I've had people ask me, when I say yes, they say, oh, that's good, I am too, so we don't have to have safe sex, right? And then you have to go into the AIDS 202 about different kinds of viruses and all that kind of stuff, right? But only once has somebody actually volunteered the information. And so you can tell that if that's the case, it isn't something you're bragging about, right? That this is something that they're worried about, that they're afraid is going to lead to rejection, right? I mean, there's always sex around, right? But stories are hard to get. I think that in my life, I'm relatively insulated from stigma. I'm in a long-term relationship, been with the same guy for the last 30 years, and I've been out as an AIDS activist for most of the last 20, so that people can see me coming a mile away.